Hey, what's up everybody? This is C.L.S. all-in-one, and today I'm going to show you how to make a virus safety shield for your office desk. So there's multiple different methods out there to make a shield for an office desk, and this is the route I took. And this may not work in your situation, but maybe it'll give you some tips and get you in the right direction. So this is an older office desk, and it sits at about 4 feet high, and I'm going to try to go through this step by step. The first step is going to be securing some brackets to the top of the desk. And all this is an 8-inch by 8-inch shelving bracket. And what I'm going to do here is screw these brackets directly to the top of the office desk. Now if you don't want to use screws, you could use some double-sided tape, but obviously it's going to be a lot stronger if you're able to use screws. And for the bracket location with this particular desk, I've mounted 2 brackets on both the left and right edges of the desk. And what I have here is some 1x4 material that I've cut at 2.5 inches, and I've cut 4 different pieces. And these are cut at 2.5 inches because what I'm using for a shield is a piece of plexiglass that's 2 foot high and 4 foot wide. And now it's time to secure the 1x4s to the brackets on the desk. And this 1x4 is made of a solid PVC composite. And you can find this material at Home Depot or Menards, but you can also just use your traditional 1x4s that are made with lumber. And here's a look at the opposite side of the desk where I've already secured one of the 1x4s to the bracket. And now I'm going to do the same on the other side. And I am using some screws that are only 3/4 inches long. That way they don't pop through the other side of the 1x4. And as far as the size of your shield you should use for your desk, that's really dependent on the size of your desk. With this particular desk, it is about 4 feet high and 4 feet wide. So if I add a 2 foot by 4 foot shield, that gets me pretty good protection. So I have both of my 1x4s secured to the brackets, and now it's time to put up my piece of plexiglass. And this is 2 foot high by 4 foot wide with an 1/8 inch thickness. And for a thickness, I'd recommend you use at least 1/8 of an inch thick up to 1/4 inch thick. But keep in mind, the thicker the plexiglass is, the more expensive it is. And the reason I cut the 1x4s a 1/2 inch taller than the height of the plexiglass is so I could create a space at the bottom of the plexiglass for items such as paperwork to be able to slide through the bottom of the plexiglass. And as you can see here, I'm using some magazines to shim up the bottom of the plexiglass to create a 1/2 inch gap. And I did luck out with this piece of plexiglass because it just happens to be the same width as my desk. But more than likely, you're going to have to cut that piece of plexiglass to match the width of where your brackets are located. And now I'm going to grab my other 2 1x4s that are already cut at 2.5 inches. And what I'm basically going to do is sandwich the plexiglass with the 2 pieces of 1x4s on each side. And to achieve this, you will have to do some pre-drilling. And to hold all those pieces together, you might need to use a clamp to keep everything nice and steady. So for the pre-drilling, what I'm using is a slightly oversized drill bit than the screws I'm using. And I've marked my drill bit with some electrical tape. That way I don't drill it too deep. And what I'm trying to do here is drill through that first 1x4 and just barely through the plexiglass. So it's time to start drilling, and you can see that electrical tape's marking how far I should be drilling. So I got a little bit more to go here. So we should be good. And I've just barely made it through the plexiglass there. And the reason I'm using a slightly oversized drill bit is to protect the plexiglass. If I was to drill that hole too small or the same size as the screws, when I go to put the screw through the hole in the plexiglass, it might crack it. So if you drill that hole just a little bit bigger, that protects that plexiglass. After getting all your holes pre-drilled, it's time to go ahead and secure everything together. And I'm going to use some screws that are 1.25 inches long. And I did use 3 screws, one on the top, one in the middle, and one towards the bottom. And I did the same thing on the opposite side as well. So if you put those screws in from the back side, nothing's going to be visible from the front, and that'll give it a lot cleaner look. To remove it from the edges, you can use a razor blade, but make sure to make some very soft cuts so you don't damage the plexiglass underneath. Now it's time to install some trim at the bottom of the plexiglass, and I'm going to use some 3/4 round and cut 4 pieces at 14 inches long. And this trim is also made of a PVC composite material. And here's a look at my 4 cut pieces at 14 inches long each. And now what I'm going to do is install one on each end of the plexiglass opening on the front and back side. So there's 2 in the front, and now we're going to put 2 on the back side. And by placing the trim pieces like this creates an opening right in the middle of the shield. That way paperwork can slide through the middle. And to secure these pieces, you can use some finish nails or use some double-sided tape. And here's a look at the finished product. Now, because I did use PVC for the trim and the 1x4s, there's no paint necessary. The grade on these products is already considered finished, but you can paint these if you choose to. But it would probably be a good idea to paint everything before assembling it together. And if you're using a lumber-based product, you want to make sure to go ahead and pre-stain everything beforehand. So now with this current setup, whoever is working behind the desk has a nice safety shield between the person on the other side. As far as the strength of this current setup, it's not super strong. The plexiglass does have some give at the top, but it's plenty adequate for what it's being used for. If you do want some added strength, I would suggest using some 1/4 inch thick plexiglass, and that should make a big difference. And you could even add a couple pieces of trim to the top of the plexiglass to give it some more strength, but that becomes a viewing obstruction, and I chose not to go that route. Hopefully, if you're looking to make a shield for your office desk, this video helped you out and pointed you in the right direction. Okay, it's now time for me to go. If you like this video, if you could, hit that like button, and have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time. And to see more of my videos, just click any of these categories to see more.